Hello and welcome to episode 7 of the All Round Coaching podcast. I haven't got my co-host Mel here with me today. She will be back. Reason for this, I just wanted to cover the more complex myths that we did receive, and I'm going to break them down today as well. So I'll go into each tip, each myth that I've got, and obviously I'll expand on as much knowledge as I can with it, and hopefully applicable things that you can all take away and apply to your lifestyle, and not think that these myths stand or you have to live by the label of them, because a lot of them are especially not true as well. So I will break these down into each myth, go over the steps that you can help, and hopefully push past that for you. Now, myth number 1, this was can't lose belly fat when you hit menopause. Now, if we live through every single label that we get, we'd never get anywhere. This actually isn't true. Belly fat can be a common concern for many women during and after menopause. Hormonal changes that occur during menopause can contribute to an increase in abdominal fat. With the right support, I will say, and the right approach, it is possible to manage and reduce belly fat. So what I want to do today with this one is just give a few tips on how to do that, rather than say, no, it's not true. If I actually give you tips on how to manage it and help you, then hopefully you can push through that as well. So staying physically active, regular exercise, obviously this is crucial for maintaining a healthy weight and reducing belly fat as well. So if we engage in a combination of aerobic exercises, this can include walking, swimming, cycling, and strength training. So this is a big one as well. We don't want to neglect the resistance training. Reason for this, which I won't go into too much detail now because I'm going off topic. Reason for this is obviously we want to maintain a bone density. Now, if we neglect resistance training and all movements altogether, our body doesn't have a reason to maintain any bone density or a reason to keep any fat off, we'll say. So weightlifting, any resistance training is going to benefit you in the long run, and obviously the more lean muscle mass we have, the more fat we do burn at rest as well. So it does pay dividends to actually exercise and get moving. With this, it's not to say the only way to keep fat at bay is through exercise. We need to ensure that we eat a balanced diet. So focus on consuming a variety of nutrient-dense foods. This can include fruits, veg, your lean proteins, your grains, and obviously your fats as well. I would limit the intake of, we'll say palatable foods, the foods that are a little bit more calorie dense and sometimes tastier. It's not to say you can't have them, but if you're eating a highly processed diet, then it's highly likely that you are eating yourself into a surplus anyway. And if we are eating into a surplus, this is when fat gain is going to happen. Even considering all your beverages that you have from Starbucks, sauces that you use, and condiments as well. So don't just think it's just the food. There is things outside that as well. Be mindful of your portion sizes and consider tracking your calories if necessary. This will just give you an idea and a little bit more accuracy into what you're eating, and then having a look at what portion controls maybe should look like for you, because each person is going to be different. So obviously if you manage that for a few weeks, you'll be able to then not be able to track calories, but then manage your portion sizes with that. Managing your stress. So this is a big one through menopause. Obviously, it can be a stressful time for many, but if you can find ways to manage it through, I'd say yoga's a good one, your meditation, your deep breathing, going for walks, or finding ways that you can relax and unwind, taking a hot bath, a little bit of self-care. It does go a long way, because if we're constantly in a stressed state, then sometimes we do reach for them comfort foods just to make us feel a little bit better. Often we've got to the end of the day, we've had a stressful day, you're already feeling fatigued, menopause is walloping your ass, and you think, do you know what, I'm going to have a takeout, fuck it. And a lot of people do, they'll reach for that, the convenience, and they'll manage the stress through that. So if we can find other ways to manage your stress, that is going to help in the long run as well. And often sleep is neglected. I think this can intertwine with stress at times, because we end up staying up late to try and de-stress ourselves. But if we aim to get at least 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep per night, obviously sufficient sleep is going to help regulate your hormones, and obviously it is including those involved in appetite control as well. If we end up having lack of sleep, staying up too late, then our cravings are likely to increase. And obviously, if our cravings go up, that's when weight gain can happen as well, particularly around the abdomen area. So please get enough sleep, managing your stress, that is going to help massively. Staying hydrated, so drinking plenty of water, this is going to support weight loss efforts. It'll curb appetite, because sometimes people will confuse being a little bit dehydrated with being hungry or through boredom. So if you keep your water intake up, it's going to help improve your digestion, and obviously it's going to hopefully curb any little appetite or craving spikes that you have throughout the day. One thing I will say with all these tips as well, it's useless just using 1 or 2 for a week and then giving up. We want to be consistent. It's like any fat loss goal, regardless of menopause or not. Losing a body fat in all and losing belly fat does take time and consistency. So we need to be patient in this. We need to set realistic goals. It isn't going to happen overnight. But if you focus on making sustainable lifestyle changes rather than resorting to crash dieting, fad diets, or going too extreme, you're going to be able to maintain it and sustain it over a longer period of time. If anyone obviously does need to consult their healthcare profession, I would advise that anyway. Menopause isn't my area of expertise. Obviously, there is a lot more people out there that it is their field. If you want to get in touch with them, you can do. This is just a few tips today just to hopefully help you and break down some of them myths. So just remember, everybody is different. Weight loss can vary from person to person, and obviously it's essential to listen to your own body. But one thing I would say is don't just live through that label. Don't think that it's impossible. It isn't. Can it be a little bit harder going through menopause? Absolutely. But it isn't impossible, and anyone can do it with the right support as well. I've had a few clients where they've been perimenopausal, going through the menopause, and they've still achieved fat loss results and physique changes as well. So it is possible, guys. Don't give up on yourself and just be a little bit more consistent. So I will move on to the next myth. So the next myth that we have is can't shift baby weight, extra special sticky fat, was the comment attached to that one. Now, I haven't had a baby, nor will I ever have a baby. It isn't for me. But losing weight that you have gained during pregnancy is possible. I've had amazing transformations from two clients, potentially more, that had a baby, and then obviously they came to me and they achieved amazing results. The reason for this is they were consistent with it, and they listened to what I said and what I guided them on. So is it impossible? No. Is it hard? Yes. It can be challenging for many women. You have to remember that your routine has changed massively. You aren't just looking after yourself. You've got a tiny human to look after. But it's taken you 9 months to gain that baby weight. So don't expect to lose it after a week or 2. Like, your body's gone through a massive change. Like, it isn't going to fall off overnight. And we have to allow, obviously, everything to fall back into place, we'll say. But one thing, I'll go through a few tips with these, actually. One thing I would say is be patient with it. You can't do it overnight, and nobody does anything overnight anyway. With women that have had a baby, I would say slow and steady is the best kind of progress that you can make. And it's going to be healthier and more sustainable over the long run as well. I'd always say, when women have had a baby, you're not going to be jumping up, getting straight back into exercise. I know some women do, but I would always start on the nutrition side. I'd emphasise having whole foods, having nutrient-dense foods. These are going to help not only with body composition, but it's going to help with your energy levels overall, because I imagine that sleep is massively impacted when you have a baby. So we don't want to then neglect nutrition if we can't then start an exercise because we're already looking after a little human. If you start and focus on the nutrition, and then obviously when you've got that time for yourself, you can then start and build in 10 to 20 minutes exercise. And this doesn't have to be every single day. So I'd always say like a minimum 3 times per week. If you can get some exercise in there, that's amazing. And then when you're taking the baby out for a walk in the pram, you can always get the walk in yourself, and then start and build your steps up from, I'd always say start a little bit lower. once like 4,000 become easy, you start and push it up to 5,000, 6,000, rather than going straight in with what you think is going to be 10,000 steps and setting yourself up to fail. If you just get some movement in, it's going to be better than none. A lot of people focus on perfect and they try and get everything done at once. So if we can focus on the nutrition side and then bringing the movement in, yes, you can shift baby weight. It's just that people's actions didn't actually take place after the baby. They probably just kind of stayed stuck and maybe confidence dropped a little bit. That's what I've found when I've worked with clients, and obviously they never prioritise themselves. It is always the family and then obviously the baby as well, which is fine, but you can't pour from an empty cup, so you should always be a priority. So is it impossible? No. Again, similar to menopause, it just takes a little bit longer, a little bit of patience, and things that you can sustain over a longer period is going to see you get there. Don't forget that this time's going to pass anyway, so regardless how long it will take you, you will get there as long as you are consistent with it. So the next myth that I received, and you know what, this is one that when I was younger, I actually believed it myself. So sit-ups to get rid of belly fat, which is targeted fat loss. Now, if you'd have asked me over 10 years ago, I'd have been like, yep, absolutely, because I used to whack out hundreds of them. And I haven't got a six-pack. It didn't come, it didn't arrive. And the reason for this is, one, we can't spot reduce fat, but two, my diet didn't match the efforts of my exercise. So my body fat was higher, meaning that I couldn't visibly see abs. Now, obviously, everybody's abs are different. Genetics do play a role in some sense, but there's no reason that nobody can get abs. It's just how much sacrifice you are actually willing to get from that. But removing fat from the abdomen area is down to a number of things, but it is, if you need to focus on your diet, obviously some cardiovascular exercise, strength training. Obviously you would train your abs like you would any other muscle. The foods that you do eat as well. So if you're eating a highly processed diet and obviously gaining body fat, this is going to matter. So your food choices, not just calories alone, will impact the amount of body fat that you have as well. So I would always say to clients, if you have an 80-20 diet, this is going to help overall in body composition. I don't like saying healthy foods. No food is good and bad, but obviously there is foods that are going to serve a higher purpose and be a little bit more beneficial. So if we focus on your portion control, your nutrition quality, staying hydrated, consistency and patience, along with your exercise regime and training inside and outside the gym, that's what's going to help with the overall fat that's surrounding the abdomen area. Not doing a million sit-ups thinking you're going to get there and then you can carry on eating, we'll say, the more palatable foods that are going to put on weight or fat. So yes, just remember, it isn't just sit-ups alone. Yes, we want to train the abs, but your diet overall and your movement's going to help with this. Right, this next myth, I'm not going to say it's a trigger. I'm not going to be that person that says it's a trigger word. But lifting heavy will make you look like a man. Now, this absolutely is not true. If it was that easy and someone has the secret without it being assisted by steroids, let me know. Let me know how you've done it. If you lifted some weights and you woke up the next day looking absolutely jacked or with a lot more muscle mass, because obviously I've been training since I was 12 or 13. I'm now 33 and I'm still chipping away to build a little bit more muscle. As a female, it is so much harder to build muscle. It isn't impossible, it's just harder. Naturally, obviously, we have higher levels of body fat because our bodies are made to carry babies. But nobody lifted up some dumbbells or weights and started looking like a man. The reason people believe this is they think of the extremes. So they'll think, well, they're lifting weights and they look really masculine, and they're looking at the bodybuilding world. Within the bodybuilding world, not all of them, but obviously a lot of them are assisted. And when I say assisted, obviously steroids have taken a role with this. It isn't everyone, and regardless of steroids or not, you still need to work fucking hard to get to that level. So no, you won't look like a man lifting weights. It will give you a nice shape. Muscle mass is so important, not just for males as well, but obviously females, especially as we age. We can't expect to go through life without any muscle mass and then complain when our bone density is awful, when our joints are hurting, and then obviously frailty and not being able to move when we're older. So no, you will not. I can't stress this enough, and I hope more than one person listens to this. You will not look like a man just from lifting weights. And it has been said to me in the past. Obviously, I have a desired look that I love, and it does require a little bit more muscle. I just don't want to do it assisted. But it has been said to me that I've looked like an action man in the past, which is fine. Like, it is what it is. Everyone else's perception's different, but it isn't the weights. Eating too much is going to make you look bulky and make you get bigger, but lifting heavy will not make you look like a man. You can tell that's a passionate topic for me, so I'm going to go off that now. Hopefully nobody thinks they'll look like a man if they lift a dumbbell up, but if you do wake up jacked, let me know how you did it. And moving on to the next one. This is a common one, to be fair. 10,000 steps minimum, but also the only thing to stay fit. No, you don't necessarily need to do 10,000 steps per day to stay healthy. It is a common recommendation, and it can be a useful guide for increasing physical activity. So the specific number of steps needed for obviously optimal health can vary, and obviously it is dependent on the individual person, age, fitness levels, and overall health goals. So for me, when I'm setting it up for clients, if I've got somebody in an office job and I've seen that they've only done 800 to 1,000 steps per day, I'll then start and set them a realistic goal of 5,000 steps per day to get them moving outside of activities in the gym. So this is where NEAT comes from. So it's our non-exercise activity thermogenesis. It isn't just what you do in the gym, it's what you do out of that as well. So you don't need 10,000 steps, nor is it the only thing that is going to keep you fit and healthy. It's one of the things, and obviously part of physical activity as well. It's just that a lot of people now don't move enough. Obviously, we need to look after our heart health. It isn't just all fat loss and muscle gain. We still need to look after our heart health and make sure that we are healthy. A diet and obviously exercise within the gym comes into that as well. So it is a balance overall, and it isn't just setting a number that you've plucked out your ass. Like, it is individual. But if someone in an office was only doing 1,000 steps, but they're now doing 6,000, they've already improved their health and they're already moving more outside of what they would have. And then obviously you've got the gym aspect coming into it if they do go to the gym. Some people don't enjoy the gym, but I would always recommend getting out walking. It is beneficial. It's good for your health. It's nice to be outside, and obviously that daylight exposure is going to help with alertness throughout the day rather than being sat in a room and not moving, and that's when the slump and the energy levels start to drop. So overall energy levels can increase from having a walk, being a little bit more active, and I always find productivity does increase as well when we go out for a walk. So the next one, do you know what? It's like reading myths that I did used to believe in as well. Cardio on an empty stomach is the key to success. Now, there is recent studies on this, and I am going to quote, because it's Coach Eugene. He recently found a study for women in particular that evidence did indicate, women specifically it says, exercising in a fasted state can blunt fat oxidation, whereas exercising in a fed state will result in a greater total daily expenditure and increased fat oxidation, potentially improving body composition. So, in overall, his summary of this is fasted can be worse, especially for women. Now, it isn't to say you can't do it. The only reason that some people found it beneficial is the eating window was smaller. So over the day, they'd already consume less calories. It wasn't that the body was in an optimal, whereas I used to think an optimal state for fat burning, because, it's going to rely on fat sources rather than burning the food off that I've just eaten, which obviously hopefully nobody does. So it isn't that it is more beneficial, it's just that the the eating window is then reduced. This is my brain cell on its own, even without Mel. So is there any benefits to doing it? No. If you enjoy doing it, then fair enough. I just prefer having food in me because I want my training to be a little bit more intense. I want to have that energy, and I never found a benefit for it because I'd find myself hungrier after I did fasted cardio, and I could never do fasted training. It wasn't for me, and there's no benefit. And now seeing that, knowing that it does blunt fat oxidation and obviously body composition is my goal anyway, it's not something I'd ever do again. People just believe that it can enhance fat burning, and it doesn't. Your eating window's just a little bit shorter, and for me, energy levels would be lower as well. So that is my view on that. And Coach Eugene, who is highly intelligent as well, he has released a study on that, and I'm going to go with that one as well. So yes, there is absolutely no benefit to that. It isn't going to get you to your goal quicker, and it is not the key to success. Which kind of ties into the next one. Again, something I did. Excessive cardio to lose weight. I'll always say, if we are exercising just to lose weight, just to burn calories, it's a fucking miserable existence. It isn't maintainable, it isn't sustainable. And one thing with excessive cardio, which I did touch on in the previous myths, it brings your appetite up for your body to then meet them demands. If you're doing hours of cardio, your body's going to want that energy from somewhere. And that's when obviously appetite increases, and then we end up overeating and probably losing a little bit more control around food, because we probably just feel a little bit more insatiable and we can't get full because we're then trying to burn it off. It is a vicious cycle, but I don't believe your body should be punished for what you've eaten. So if you've had something, don't then go, oh, well, I'm going to burn it off in the gym, or I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. We aren't exercising to burn calories. We aren't exercising just to burn food off. Food's to be enjoyed. It's to fuel you, and obviously, hopefully, people do actually enjoy them social occasions out with it as well. What we don't want to do is then excessive amounts of cardio. So if we separate it, just see cardio as benefiting your health. Obviously, it's amazing for heart health. It's amazing sometimes just as a de-stress as well, but it is amazing for your health overall. It isn't just a fat loss tool, and it shouldn't be a punishment for anything that you have done as well. So please don't be doing excessive amounts of cardio thinking that you're going to get to your goals quicker. It'll probably take longer because, one, it's not sustainable. Two, you'll bring up your appetite. And three, I don't know how many people actually have the time these days to spend hours and hours in a gym or doing cardio. I will move on to the next myth that we've got. It's more of a question this than a myth. So stretching before a workout. Now, I know back in the day it was that whole, standing up, stretching your quads, doing little warm-ups before you start training. But with my clients, I like to get their body moving in the movements that they are going to do. I like to get the synovial fluid moving around the joints. So I avoid doing static stretching, because if we think about training, you're already lengthening and contracting that muscle. If you're just doing a few stretches before you train, you're probably getting in a relaxed state as well, because it is quite relaxing stretching. But it can increase the risk of injury. Now, if you go into the gym and you just do stretches and you don't do any warm-ups, your muscle's then in that lengthened position, and then you're trying to contract it. So you are better doing a warm-up, getting the blood flowing, getting the joints moving. So if I was doing a bench press, I'd then go into hand release press ups, a pal off press, and I'd prepare my body for that. I wouldn't start and do it the arm on the doorway. I wouldn't be lengthening my chest and then just going straight into the workout. I don't want my muscles in that lengthened position before I've even got any weight on the bar. So dynamic warm-ups are always better than your static stretching. This is going to prepare your body for the session and obviously prevent injury as well. I would say this is more of a physiotherapy route, and I do think a lot of it is perspective and what's best for the individual. I wouldn't do any static stretching before a workout. I would do the body weight movements and the warm-ups, and then I always do warm-up sets before I train as well. So hopefully that does answer your question and help you before you go into the gym next time. But it is something I'd avoid. I wouldn't be doing my static stretching, but you can research this further if you choose to. Next one is best foods pre and post workout. Now, I'll never tell anybody what to eat, What I would say is fuel yourself before your session. So before I train, I get a mix of my protein, my fats and my carbs, just for a little bit of even the pre as well, pre and post. You want that recovery, but you also want the energy to go into your session and work out. So them carbs in there are always in there for me. Potentially I just have like my bacon bagel and a little bit of Greek yogurt. I don't have it immediately before I train. I like to allow at least 60 to 90 minutes digestion, and then obviously I've got that energy to then go into my session as well. So there isn't any best foods, but I would say get a mix of all the macros in there with your protein, your fats and your carbs. It's going to help, one, go into the gym with some energy and hopefully have a good session. And two, your post-workout meal is then going to help you recover from the session that you've just done as well. So hopefully that does answer that. And moving on for the last one for today, because I think I have covered quite a lot. Planning on drinking. So this means the alcohol side. Would you reduce calories to allow for it? There's 2 and 4 with this one. Yes, you can do it, but what a lot of people do is they reduce the calories that much. I'd always do it by 100 per day, but if they do it by that much, like if they exceed 300 to 400 over the day, by the time they do come to drink at the end of the week, they're probably over-restricted to a point where when they are pissed, we'll say, they've had a drink, that they end up overeating more foods because, one, they've been restricting in the week, and two, obviously our inhibitions have absolutely gone out the window when we've drank alcohol. So yes, you can make way for it, but if alcohol and fat loss is your goal, then I'd probably say just sacrifice a little bit of alcohol. Like, we can't have it all. If you want to drink every single weekend, then something has to give. We know that alcohol isn't the best for body composition. It's not the best for fat loss, health, or anything whatsoever. We could just have a good time off it. But I wouldn't reduce calories too much because that can hinder your progress. And then if we fall into that trap each week, we end up over restricting that much that we just don't have that control when we are around food. But there is lower calorie option alcohol as well. I'd always say to my clients, like, try and steer away from having beers and obviously a shitload of cocktails. So we've got, I think gin's quite low calorie. You've got low calorie ciders now. You've got your Prosecco, vodka. So there is ones that you can include, and sometimes, like, obviously people will track it just to be a little bit more mindful of it, but there is lower calorie options as well. I just wouldn't let alcohol determine my calories, or I wouldn't personally live too much around it. So hopefully today has been a little bit useful to you. I will be back with Mel. I do miss her. It's not the same on my own, but I think I've covered quite a few myths today that hopefully people won't believe in. And do you know what? If one person takes away anything from today, I am happy. If anybody has got any questions, please fire me a message. And obviously I am working with clients one-to-one online coaching. This means you get dedicated support from me with weekly check-ins, full app access, and I always like to break goals down for clients. I want to see you succeed. So if you want to start your journey, start a transformation, or you have any goals in mind, I would love to hear them and I would love to help as well. You can visit me on my website, or you can drop me a message on my Instagram page. I will drop the links in podcast. So I will be back on the next one with Mel. I hope you have enjoyed today and have a good day, guys.